I'm Tarzan Dan. Yo, 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 what do you know? We got TV's hypest video show, fresh and in the flesh. The best videos a week to make you freak. It's the hit list. I'll be eyeballing for you on the hit list.
Choose the best, forget the rest. Saturdays at 6.
On YTV.
Hey everybody, welcome to You, Me, and YTV, an amazing special episode. Wanna know why? Because this episode had already existed, but due to technology crapping in my face, the audio from Fan Expo didn't work, and it was such a good interview. I contacted Dan. I said, Dan, I could subtitle this entire interview, but considering you're a man with the voice, the irony is just too much for me. We got to do this again. And I want to give a big shout out to my friend Nick Caruso, who was trying to doctor the audio. And he did a good job, but at the same time, not hearing you clearly speak is just it's just a crime against humanity, considering you're Tarzan Dan with
He was
voice.
overdubbing the voice, actually, from what I heard, and it sounded like,
Hi, I'm Tarzan Dan. It's really nice to meet you.
Yo.
Did you grow up in Canada? Were you alive in the 90s? Did you love YTV? Yeah, you did.
When I was a kid, a lot of us, we just, whatever music we listened to, that was our lives. All of a sudden, we start dressing differently. We start acting differently based on music we listened to. How did the hit list come about?
So Hit List came about because they wanted a music-based Canadian television show, and I was on Rock and Talk with Laurie Hibbert, and she was having somebody come in like once a week and review an album, so I would do that. And then they said, oh, we're going to be doing a video countdown show. We really want you to audition for it along with everybody else on the planet.
Just a note, including PJ Fresh Phil, correct? He was auditioning.
PJ Fresh Phil, yeah. Actually, one of the things I learned when we did the comic expo recently was that he auditioned for it and didn't get it. I was shocked when they called me. I went to the callbacks, and I'm like sitting there with all these people who look like they stepped out of a magazine, and then goofy looking me. I went in with a Janet Jackson jacket that I had, and I just pretended I was going to give it away on air. You know, if you watch me swing through a video, when you see the video, write it down, send it in, and you could win this jacket. And it was just me doing radio on television, essentially. They called, they said, hey, you got the job. It's yours if you want it. And I was like, whoa. I literally jumped up and down and peed my pants after I got off the phone because I couldn't believe that this dorky face was going to have a national television show and do it for 8 years. And then the show lasted how many, 14, 15 years?
Hey, thanks, Dr. J. What do you say? I'm Tarzan Dan. How you doing, huh? All right, we got the Junior J's home run hit. Now, we're going to try and think, and we're going to try and figure out who it's going to be. I'm going to give you some hints, and you see if you can figure it out. They had one of the biggest selling albums in Canada. Also, they sold out their tour across Canada, set all kinds of records for that. And these guys are really into macaroni and cheese. Who would it be? Think, Bare Naked Ladies and Enid, your Junior J's home run hit.
It was fun. We had fun. We created. We did what didn't make sense. We did it live to tape. So as you were watching it, that was what happened. If it screwed up, we just kept going. So it felt like a live television show.
Also, still to come, Mr. Big, Mariah Carey, and I'm also going to take off all my clothes and run naked across the screen. No, maybe I won't, and then you'll come back at least, yeah. We'll be back on the hit list.
And as well, cable was in its infancy. So there were only a couple of cable channels. So this is a TV show that had Hockey Night in Canada type numbers. There was Much Music. There was Good Rockin' Tonight and Rock and Talk that played videos. And then here's a show that's going to play only music videos, do all kinds of interviews with all kinds of artists, and have a great time. And people just ate it up.
Hey, it's me, Tarzan Dan, hanging out with the Back Hair Boys.
Back hair?
No!
And to this day, I have people that will either contact me on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or whatever. Oh, I grew up watching you, or oh my God, I remember that. Like today I posted a picture on Facebook of me as Tarzan Dan's mom, because we used to do this segment in the show. And so people were like, oh my God, I haven't seen a picture of that in years, you know. And I remember many a time we'd get to another city, I'd sit on a bench that was a popular place, and I'd put on the wig and the dress and be Tarzan Dan's mom. Or the time when Ed Robertson from the Bare Naked Ladies invited me over to his house, but I went as Tarzan Dan's mom. And I found a green dress in his cupboard, you know, from the song If I Had $1 Million. Yeah. And I hung out with his mom. And we made mac and cheese, right, as Tarzan Dan's mom, and we looked at baby pictures and all that. It was so funny, and
this is all on camera.
All on camera.
Okay, I was about to say, Dan. I'm like, I'm not sure what you do in your private time there, but
yeah, no, I wouldn't mess with her.
I'm like,
but,
you are really,
anyway,
you were really committed.
I was committed.
Yeah.
I should have been committed.
What? Hey! Hey!
Man! Ow! How you doing?
Hey! How long you been in there anyway?
Oh, since about high school.
Did you meet any artists you actually liked, or were you just a guy going through the motion saying like, yeah, I'm on TV and, you know, music's music?
You know what? I mean, perfect example is why I'm still friends with, you know, Backstreet or NSYNC or, you know, even Gavin Rossdale from Bush. You know, these people still keep in contact. When my mom passed away, I got a phone call from Destiny's Child. Like, they had heard through the industry that my mom had passed away. My phone rings while I'm driving to the funeral home, and it's them on the phone. So I think that there was that connection beyond just doing interviews, because you really liked these people and you got along really well with them, and there was a human side to them as well. And I've always thought of it in that way. So a lot of times when I run into somebody like years later, they're like, dude, I haven't seen you in forever. And it's genuine.
We're hanging with Gary from Take That Now. And he just commented that my legs are just about as hairy as his. I think there's got to be, if you're going to make a comment like that, you got to show me your legs so we can find out who is hairier.
Oh, that's very professional,
Oh, yeah.
isn't it?
No,
He said you wasn't going to ask him.
Come on.
That's great.
Okay,
that,
so you
innit?
got this.
Oh, look at that, lad.
Oh, who's hairier? I win the contest. Hello, I win.
Yeah, but you've got 50 years on me.
So you're interested more in them as people as opposed to just their musical side.
Always have been. Always, you know, like, instead of asking, so how's the tour going, or tell me a little bit about the album, I asked, one of the favorite questions was, when you're on tour, what's the one thing you miss the most? And they would go, oh man, my mom's cooking. What's her best dish? They're going to tell you because they love it. Or second, it would be, oh, my dog. I miss my dog. Oh, what kind of dog is it? Oh, it's a Shih Tzu. Okay, and what's the dog's name? Okay, we got the dog's name now. Why'd you name it that? So you can see the progression, and they get to talk about who they really are, and it has nothing to do with music, but it makes them real and endears them to the people that are on the other side of the television or on the other side of the radio.
That was when I was half decent. That was when my mother liked me. You know, now it's a different story.
Do you ever look back at the old videos and go, what the heck was I doing with my hair? Or do you do that now?
And so the same difference with anybody. J-Lo, when I interviewed her, one of the coolest things was I had met Mark Anthony the week before. And I said, give me something on J-Lo, because I know you guys are really close friends. This is before they were married and stuff like that. And he says, J-Lo once skipped school and ripped her pants on a fence, jumping over it to go to a Menudo concert. So, of course, Dan's loaded with this great information. And what happened is when I interviewed her, I said, so what's the story about you skipping over a fence and ripping your pants on the way to a Menudo concert? Does Ricky Martin know about this? She looks at me like, how do you know this? And that's what I always love to do. Was,
I'm glad she reacted like that and not like, how do you know this?
Hi, I'm Alanis, and you're jamming in the jungle with Tarzan Dan.
How'd you come up with the name, man? Tarzan Dan, it sticks.
Oh! A bunch of us were out at a bar in Calgary when I was doing radio. I was Dan Freeman, and met somebody that was talking to the guys from the radio station. She said, "Oh, your show's Untamed. It's like a jungle." And I said, "Oh, well, what's in the jungle?" She goes, "Lions and tigers and cheetahs." And I went, "Tarzan Dan, nice to meet you." That was it, just off top of the head. And then one of the announcers the next day called me Tarzan Dan on the radio. I was like, "What a cool name! I should stick with that." So. There we go.
But this is going out to Candace Dion in Hay River, Northwest Territories, in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Nicole, Bruce, Alanis, and congratulations on your Juno, BB.
Dan, you do so many things right now. You're currently on the radio. You have you're an amazing photographer. But let's go back to the point where nothing lasts forever. What happens after YTV?
YTV was it was a disappointment because the reason that the show had grown so dramatically, people had started watching it when it came on TV, and then by the time I was leaving the show, those people had aged with the show. And so you had a 15-year-old. Now we're 8 years later, they're 23, and the demographic of YTV was 12 to 17. Mm-hmm. So, it was one of those things where they needed to young it down to keep it going. So I got let go, which was somewhat crushing because I loved doing the show. But I continued to do radio. And so I did radio in Toronto for quite a while, at KISS and then at Chum. And then ended up out in BC and did radio. So I've been doing radio all this time. And then now I do an afternoon show at Q107 in Calgary. And I get to do all my photography as well, which is really, really cool. When I was a kid, I always wanted to be a photographer. Actually, I wanted to be a TV cameraman. And so I'd always had that visual, and I had inherited it from my dad and mom, who were both very visual. It was one of those things where my wife, being a professional ballerina, she had asked me to take audition photos, or friends had asked that. And I said, but I got bigger ideas. What if we had a ballerina pulling an airplane? She looked at me like my head fell off, but it was one of those things where I had this creative aspect to myself in that respect that I was able to make it grow and then ramp it up and create this other side of a career that some people only think I'm a photographer, and other people know that I have a media side too. So it's kind of cool to have kind of two personas in that respect, but known for both being Tarzan Dan. So it was a lot of fun, and to this day, many of us that worked on the show are still very good friends. Like recently, I hung out with the producer of the show because she's still a friend of mine. And then the main floor director, who is now doing very, very well for himself in the production end of things. And he's still one of my best friends. It was funny. I ran into... So funny. So I started working at Q107 here in Calgary, right? And I'm doing the afternoon show on the radio here. And I find out that one of the big wigs at Chorus is my old cameraman. Mm-hmm. Wow. And I'm like, what? You were this nerd camera. Now you're like, holy crap. And so it's really wonderful to see everybody have success and still be doing what they love, or have moved forward and done other things, but still keeping in touch. That's the one thing that I've really enjoyed about it, is that there's still that stickiness. After all these years, that somebody like you would remember the hit list and go, oh man, that was part of my life. That was an icon of Canada. And for people to talk like that always blows me away.
All right, well, I'm going to get into this right now. I've seen some pictures of you and the Spice Girls where they seem awfully affectionate, and
don't forget to subscribe, share, and tell all your friends that 90s Nostalgia is still alive on You, Me, and YTV. Go Canada!